Oh, Mr. Enter, I try to actively avoid your content, but you keep on giving me content. Plus, the views are pretty good shit, so anyway. Plus, also, according to Easy Peasy, I'm part of that Mr. Enter hate brigade, because I have nothing better else to do than shit on Mr. Enter all day. I gotten curious and watched one of Mr. Enter's recent video, and lo and behold, it's the same shit, but different fresh colored paint. I'm referring to his latest anime atrocity, not his cyber heckling fighting video. I mean, hooray for feeling sorry for each other. All praise to God Emperor Mr. Enter. Have you seen the comment section? It's filled to the brim with a bunch of ass kissing and people wanting to kill, fuck, and sue Turkey Tom. I saw the entirety of Mr. Enter fighting back these cyber hecklers because he doesn't want to be the whipping boy and doesn't want to hold the title of scapegoat anymore, in favor of making all this issue go away instantly. Mr. Enter, I know you want to keep the shit out of your eyes, but you're going at it the wrong way. I'm assuming that you watched the entire video of Mr. Enter before coming to me. In his first part, he called out people like Turkey Tom, Pan Pizza, Easy Peasy, and many other people for supposedly harassing him. I'm going to provide some new ones. As for Turkey Tom, you want to make your jokes about Mr. Enter partaking in pedophilic behavior. I would like to also say that's also fucking retarded because given based upon Mr. Enter's reputation, being a pedophile isn't one of them. But luckily, Mr. Enter isn't gonna set up a lawsuit against you for slander because that would have been overkill. If a tweet provided by Just Jargon has anything to say, it seems that Turkey Tom needs to better knowledge himself on the subject matter. As for Pan Pizza, I would say it's more to do with being passive aggressive. I doubt that Pan Pizza would hold any grudge against Mr. Enter or anyone, given that he was a bit bitter about the whole SpongeBob incident that you unintentionally created. This is the same guy who got an infection in his penis for not cleaning himself up after masturbating 2 and 3 times a day. So for Pan Pizza, not so much. Mr. Enter also accused the commentary community of being a constant shithole that complains about his content too many times. The commentary community have many different factions, unless you're talking about one particular type of faction. People like Doodle and Autochom are your allies. If you actually try to talk to them for once, you'll realize that they actually like your content. Mr. Enter also assumed that Easy Peasy was actually threatening to dox him. However, Mr. Enter, if you actually saw the rest of the clip, Easy Peasy was against the idea in favor of calling your fan base and hate base a bunch of autistic retards who like fling shit at each other. Allow me to show you the rest of the clip.
But despite all of the vitriol surrounding him, I was able to find very little actual juicy drama that he was involved in, to the point I considered going out of my way and personally trying to dox him, just to maybe not publish the dox, but maybe somewhere in there I'd find something that's actually interesting for me to talk about. But I eventually decided against this idea when I realized what I think is actually going on here. If I were to categorize lolcows into a type of list of categories, Mr. Enter would be a Tom Preston type of lolcow. He's the sort of guy who's so incompetent, so bad at what he does, and yet so delusional to the level of his own ability, and so resistant to taking and implementing any criticism, that people can't help themselves but to criticize every single mistake that he makes for years on end, to the point they just start hating him and turn into what science calls giant spurgs. In fact, I have a sneaking suspicion that it was some of those very same giant spurgs that gathered together on my comment section to vote up this terrible fucking idea, years after this guy and his cancerous fanbase have stopped being relevant to anyone, any troll community, in any actual way. But I already committed to doing this, so now I guess I have to.
Other than people on D, that's pretty much it. Let's talk about his magnus opus growing around. Now, I want to say it's good of him that he's doing something different, even though it's not going to be good, or it reminds me of anarcho-capitalism, but it's good of him for doing something different. Too bad your reputation in general kind of caused your Indiegogo campaign to fail. I sort of agree with Mr. Enter in regard people overblowing and doomsaying his project to oblivion. Perhaps I might consider that as a contributing factor, but another factor that people don't don't take account of. Despite Mr. Enter being a prominent figurehead in the cartoon review community, what other community has he been prominent in? Other than the My Little Pony community, if you want to be generous, that's basically it. Nothing else. Plus, when you're saying that some children are like homosexual, transgender and whatnot, that's some weirdo Japanese shit. Now, I heard people say that Butch Hartman had something to do with interfering with Mr. Enter's Indiegogo campaign, but we're generally giving Butch Hartman too much credit. Unlike Mr. Enter, Butch Hartman has built his career in Hollywood doing what he loves, animation, or Butch Hartman would say it, God dictated him to do it. Plus, his streaming service is something that many Christians, especially those who partake in right-wing politics, would find appealing. Plus, in addition, Butch Hartman allying himself with many people. Why wouldn't a conservative throw money at him? Oh, hold on. Butch Hartman is a devoted cultist man who likes feeding children, or I should say, drink up children. It's homemade in cherry flavor. I feel bad for Mr. Enter, simply the fact that you want all this bullshit to go away, plus a combination of his burning passion for animation. Plus, of course, he has Asperger's syndrome, which explains many things. But let me remind you, Mr. Enter, that your own bad decision making and you being a fucking idiot caused many of the issues at hand. But if we're going to be realistic though, AnimeBot got the ball rolling, you just Mark 5 that shit. Mr. Enter reminds me of Ben the Shot Man. But however, I'm going to provide a clip from Mr. Enter's video about people harassing him that mainly highlights my point and problem with him.
First, many of the people who follow me are on the inverse scale of the last thing I mentioned. They like me because I praised something that they liked, or I gave a negative review to something they hated. They see me as some kind of validation, and they need to see me as flawless, or that might weaken their defense, or their self-esteem, or whatever. I want to make it clear. If I've never said to my viewers, think for yourself and form your own opinions, that's because I thought that came standard, like going into a chess match and expecting not to get punched in the face. There are some things you shouldn't have to say. And I have said that I hate it when people just post my reviews or quotes that I've said verbatim, because it's on equal footing to when someone just copies the words of someone else as a way to rebut me. You know what we learned in grade school? Put things into your own goddamn words.
I mean, really now, insulting writers and going on tangents on nonsense is something what Nostalgia Critic and other people do these days. What the fuck were you expecting, Mr. Enter? These people actually take your point serious. You should have took that to consideration before letting the situation go into the shithole. I wouldn't be too surprised if his initial audience is schemed to young impressionable children who use Mr. Enter as some form of validation. It's quite funny that this type of situation is going to repeat itself over and over again until Mr. Enter finds a permanent solution. I don't blame Mr. Enter for at least trying, but his Asperger's syndrome kinda makes it difficult. Getting back to easy peasy, you know, I actually agree with his point about Mr. Enter being mediocre while his fan base and hate base are a bunch of autistic retards. Of course, they're gonna tell me to go fuck myself because I agree with easy peasy, so who gives a shit what I gotta say at this point. But I'll say this to end the video. When you're still obsessing over Mr. Enter's content, even though you say you hate Mr. Enter content, congratulations, you're a disillusioned fan. Have fun with that.